When a mysterious wanderer arrives searching for a legendary treasure, a lonely artist must decide if the greater magic lies in the ancient amulet she's hiding, or in the spark she fills with the stranger himself. The valley had no name on any map, but the people in the scattered villages at the foot of the mountains called it Onwind's Embrace. It was a place of perpetual softness, when mist clung to pine-clad slopes like gauze and light fell in diffused, painterly shafts. Rivers ran silver over smooth stones, and the air smelled of damp earth, moss, and the faint, sweet decay of ancient wood. It was a world hushed, a place forgotten by time and progress, and it was here that Arya had built her life, or rather, had it built around her by circumstance in a quiet, stubborn heart. At 24, Arya was a creature of the valley. Her hair, the color of walnut bark, often escaped its practical braid in tendrils that curled in the moist air. Her eyes were the gray of the morning mist, observant and thoughtful. Her hands, often stained with charcoal or smudged with ochre, were strong from hiking and precise from her work. She lived in a small, sturdy cottage of honey-colored stone, a legacy from a reclusive great-aunt who had also heard the valley's whisper. The cottage sat on a westward-facing ledge, its windows overlooking a breathtaking vista of rolling, forested hills that faded into a blue, hazy infinity. Her days followed the gentle rhythm of the light. Mornings were for chores and collecting pigments, grinding certain stones into powder, boiling bark for sepia tones, carefully pressing petals that yielded fleeting pinks and yellows. Afternoons were for painting. She worked on large canvases stretched over handmade frames, trying to capture not just the view, but the feeling of the valley, the way the mist moved like a living breath, the profound silence that was not empty, but full of tiny sounds, the cool, damp kiss of the air on skin. Her paintings were good, more than good. They were evocative and haunting, filled with a yearning that even she didn't fully understand. They sold in the village market to tourists seeking a souvenir of the quaint countryside, but they never captured the entirety of what she felt. There was always a gap between the vision in her soul and the image on the canvas, a space filled with a restless longing. "You paint the valley's skin, Arya, Old Man Bowen," the village woodcarver had told her once, his voice like the rustle of dry leaves. "But have you ever tried to paint its bones? Or its heartbeat?" She hadn't known what he meant, but the question lodged in her mind like a burr. Her heart longed for something more, not fame or fortune, but a depth of experience, a connection that was as vivid and real as the landscape she adored. She read books of adventure and romance by the fire, tales of explorers and lost cities, and love that defied empires, and a hollow ache would bloom in her chest. Was such a life only for pages? Was her destiny merely to observe beauty, never to live within a story of her own making? The rain began on a Thursday afternoon, a soft, persistent drizzle that soon thickened into a steady downpour. By evening, the world outside her window was a study in monochrome dark greens, slate grays, the inky black of wet bark. Restless, Arya pulled on her waxed canvas coat and boots. She loved the valley in the rain. It felt even more secret, more entirely its own. Her feet took her on a familiar path that wound behind her cottage, up into a tighter fold of the hills. Her destination was a place the village children whispered about, the Weavers' Cottage. A century ago, a family of wool weavers had lived there, but tragedy, the details lost to time, had struck, and it had been abandoned ever since. It was a skeletal thing, its thatch roof sagging, its timber bones showing through peeling plaster. Arya had sketched it many times, fascinated by its slow, dignified surrender to the elements. Pushing the creaking door open, she stepped into the musty gloom. The smell of wet rot, old stone, and something faintly sweet, perhaps, The ghost of dried lavender filled the air. Rain dripped a syncopated rhythm through holes in the roof. She moved to the hearth, where a great stone fireplace stood cold and empty. She often imagined the family gathered here, the mother at her loom, the father mending tools, children playing on the rag rug. As her eyes adjusted, a flicker of something caught her attention. Not light, but a lack of consistent shadow near the base of the fireplace. Kneeling, she ran her fingers over the uneven flagstones. One, smaller than the others, wobbled slightly, heart beating a little faster. She used the tip of her pocket knife to pry it up. Beneath lay a small space, and within it, a bundle wrapped in oilcloth, still supple and waxy. With careful reverence, she lifted it out. Unwrapping the layers revealed an object that took her breath away. It was an amulet, about the size of her palm, hanging from a chain of finely wrought, seemingly untarnishing silver. The pendant itself was a teardrop of polished carnelian, the color of burnt amber and blood oranges, held in a bezel of intricately knotted silver wire that resembled intertwining vines. At its center, deep within the stone, a lighter, fiery inclusion seemed to swirl, catching what little light there was. It was warm to the touch, not with the heat of her hands, but with its own gentle, living warmth. As her fingers closed around it, the world shifted. The dim cottage was suffused with a soft, golden light that emanated from the amulet, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. It was not a harsh light, but a warm, inviting radiance that pushed back the shadows and made the dusty air seem to sparkle. And then, clear as a bell in the silent room, a voice spoke. It was not heard with her ears, but felt in the very core of her mind. A whisper of thought that was both ancient and intimately kind. The flame within you will guide the one who seeks it. The light faded, the voice receded, but the amulet remained warm in her hand, its inner fire now glowing with a faint, persistent light. Arya sat back on her heels, stunned. Confusion warred with a thrilling, electric intrigue. This was no village legend. This was real. Magic, or something like it, was cradled in her palm. The voice had spoken of a flame within her. What did that mean? And who was the one who seeks it? She rewrapped the amulet, slipped it into her coat's inner pocket, and hurried home through the lashing rain, the weight against her chest feeling momentous and alive. That night, the storm reached its peak. Thunder growled over the mountains, and wind howled down the chimney, making her fire gutter and leap. Arya sat at her small table, the amulet before her, studying it by candlelight. The fiery swirl within the carnelian seemed to move, slow and hypnotic. She jumped violently when a pounding came at her door, not the wind, but 3 firm, urgent knocks. Cautiously, she opened it. The man on her threshold was like a figure stepped from one of her adventure novels, albeit a drenched and weary one. He was tall, with the lean, wiry build of someone accustomed to long journeys. His hair, plastered to his forehead, was the black of a raven's wing. His face was sharp-laned, etched with fatigue and the weathering of sun and wind. But it was his eyes that held her hazel, flecked with gold and green, and in that moment, wide with surprise and relief as they met hers. He wore practical, sturdy traveling clothes, now utterly sodden, and a large, weathered pack was slung over his shoulder. I beg your pardon, he said, his voice a rich baritone, slightly accented in a way she couldn't place. The storm. I saw your light. I've been walking for hours. Is there? Might I trouble you for shelter? Arya's natural caution, honed by living alone, battled with her innate kindness and the sheer, dramatic oddity of his arrival on this of all nights. The amulet in her pocket felt suddenly warmer. Come in, she said, stepping back. You'll catch your death. He entered, dripping on her stone floor, a presence that immediately made her cozy cottage feel smaller. Thank you. My name is Kai. He shrugged off his pack with a grunt of relief. Arya, she replied, fetching a thick towel. Sit by the fire. I'll make tea. As he toweled his hair, she busied herself with the kettle, acutely aware of his gaze taking in her home, the canvases leaning against walls, the pots of brushes, the shelves of pigments, the worn books. You're an artist, he said, not a question. I try to be. You succeed, he said simply, nodding toward a half-finished painting of the valley at dawn. You capture the soul of this place. It's why I'm here. Arya brought 2 steaming mugs of strong tea to the hearth and sat in the chair opposite him. What do you mean? Kai took a grateful sip, his hands cupping the mug for warmth. He studied her for a long moment as if deciding how much to say. I'm an explorer, a researcher of sorts. I follow trails of folklore, obscure manuscripts, family legends. I look for things. Lost things. Not just gold or jewels, though those are sometimes part of it. I look for artifacts of meaning. Stories made tangible. And what story led you to Anwen's embrace? Arya asked, using the local name. He leaned forward, the firelight dancing in his eyes. A very old one. It speaks of a valley shrouded in perpetual mist, a place where the veil between the mundane and the magical is thin. The legend tells of a hidden flame, a source of ancient power said to have been guarded here long ago. It wasn't a fire to cook or warm, but a catalyst. Texts describe it as a truth revealer, a compass for lost souls. Some stories say it could illuminate the path to one's destiny. Others, he paused, his gaze intensifying, suggest it had the power to reveal true love, to burn away deception and show the heart's honest reflection. Arya's pulse thrummed in her throat. She kept her face carefully neutral. A charming fairy tale. But why would you believe it? And why come all this way for a maybe? Kai's smile was tired but genuine, because I've seen enough of the world's hidden corners to know that where there's persistent smoker in this case, persistent mist, there's often a spark of truth. And I wasn't just looking for treasure. He looked into the fire, his expression turning introspective, almost vulnerable. I was searching for a sign, for something that would make sense of the wandering. The legend of the hidden flame felt like a thread worth pulling. She felt a strange magnetic pull towards him, a mixture of fascination and wariness. He was handsome, yes, and his words spoke to the very longing in her own soul. But he was a stranger, a professional seeker of myths. Could he be trusted? Or was he just a skilled storyteller looking for a valuable artifact? And have you found any clues? She asked, her voice carefully light. Not yet. The valley is larger than I imagined. The topography matches some descriptions, but the specific location... He shrugged. I was hoping to find local records, perhaps an elder who remembers older tales. Arya made a decision. She wouldn't reveal the amulet. Not yet, the voice had warned her, or perhaps promised. The flame within you will guide the one who seeks it. She needed to understand what that meant. She needed to understand him. You can stay the night, she said. The loft is dry. We can talk more in the morning. Perhaps I can help. I know these hills better than anyone. The gratitude in Kai's eyes was profound. Thank you, Arya. You have no idea what this means. Oh, but she was beginning to. The morning dawned clear and brilliant, the storm having scrubbed in the sky a pristine blue. The valley steamed gently, releasing the captured moisture of the rain in tendrils of mist that coiled upwards like ghosts over a breakfast of eggs and coarse bread. The tension of the strange night eased into a more practical camaraderie. Where would you like to start? Arya asked, washing the plates. Kai spread a hand-drawn map on her table, weighted down with a mug and a pestle. It was a beautiful thing, inked on vellum, showing the valley's basic shape with notations in a neat, precise script. The oldest references mention a high place where the earth speaks and a spring, touched by first and last. Light, vague, poetic directions. I've marked a few potential ridges and water sources. Arya looked at his map, then pulled out one of her own. Large sheet of paper covered in her own sketches and notes, less cartographically precise but rich with observed detail. Where the foxgloves grew thickest, where the oldest oak stood, where the waterfall created a permanent rainbow in the spray. She pointed to a spot on his map. This high place could be Sentinel Ridge. It's the tallest point on this side of the valley. The rock there is a peculiar kind of slate that rings almost like a bell if you strike it right. And this spring sounds like lovers. Well, it's a small pool fed by a seep in the rock. At dawn, the sun hits it directly, and for about 10 minutes at dusk, the last light lingers there longer than anywhere else. Kai looked from his scholarly map to her living, experiential one, then back to her face, a new respect dawning in his eyes. You don't just paint the valley, you listen to it. It's the only way to do it justice, she said, feeling a flush of pride. They set out together. The amulet was secret weight against Arya's chest beneath her tunic. The day was spent in vigorous, focused exploration. Kai was a knowledgeable companion, pointing out geological formations, identifying bird calls, reading the land with a practiced eye. He told her stories of his travels tracking, the source of a river in the Amazon that was said to sing, exploring a sunken city off the coast of Greece where locals claimed to hear church bells from beneath the waves, spending a month with a nomadic tribe in Mongolia who navigated, but star songs only they could hear. In turn, Arya showed him her world. She showed him the glade where she collected the brightest moss for her greens, the badger set she'd sketched for weeks, the hidden overhang where she'd once taken shelter from a hailstorm and painted the violent beauty of it. As they talked and walked, the initial wariness began to melt away, replaced by a growing, effortless rapport. He was quick to laugh, deeply curious, and treated her knowledge not as quaint local lore, but as valuable data. He looked at her paintings on her phone. She had digital photos of most, with an eye that saw beyond technique to the emotion. There's a loneliness in them, he said quietly as they ate lunch on a sun-warmed rock, looking out over the endless green waves of a forest. Is there? She deflected, taking a bite of an apple. A beautiful one, not a sad loneliness, but a watchful one, as if you're waiting for the landscape to tell you its final secret. His perception unnerved and thrilled her. No one had ever seen that before. Over the next 3 days, their search continued. They visited Sentinel Ridge, where Kai tapped the singing stone with a small hammer, listening intently as the clear note echoed over the hills. They found Lover's Well, its waters icy and clear, and waded through the dawn and dusk transitions. But nothing magical occurred. They explored ruins of other old homesteads, studied carvings on a few standing stones so weathered they were almost smooth, and with each passing day, the connection between them deepened. It was in the easy silence that fell as they navigated a tricky path, in the way he instinctively offered a hand over his stream, and the jolt she felt at his touch, in the shared wonder at a hawk circling on a thermal, in the debates over legends by firelight back at her cottage. He was becoming more than the handsome stranger. He was becoming Kai-driven, gentle, brilliant, carrying a shadow of his own loneliness that mirrored hers. But the valley, for all its beauty, was not a tame place. On the 4th day, their adventure turned perilous. Seeking a cave system mentioned in one of Kai's more fragmentary sources, they had to traverse a narrow ledge along a cliff face. The rock was treacherous, still damp from the storm days before. Arya, leading, felt her boot slip on a patch of slick lichen. For a heart-stopping second, she teetered on the edge, the drop yawning below her. Kaya's arm shot out, grabbing her belt and hauling her back against the solid rock wall, his body shielding hers. "Steady," he breathed, his voice tight with fear. They stood pressed together, hearts hammering in unison, until the wave of dizziness passed. The danger was a spark that ignited something deeper. His arm remained around her, not as a safeguard, but as a hold. Her hands gripped his forearms. Their eyes met, and in that shared gaze of adrenaline and relief, something fundamental shifted. The professional curiosity was gone, replaced by a raw, unmasked awareness. "Thank you," she whispered. "Always," he replied, the single word heavy with unspoken promise. They pressed on, finding the cave entrance hidden behind a waterfaller. Classic trope that made them both laugh, easing the tension. The cave was a cathedral of stone, with glittering stalactites dripping from the ceiling and a shallow, icy stream running through its center. They were deep inside, examining curious mineral formations that glittered in their torchlight, when a low, deep rumble shook the world. It was not thunder, it was the mountain itself groaning. A rain of dust and pebbles pattered down from the ceiling. "Landslide!" Kai yelled, the entrance. They turned and ran, but the sound of grinding, crashing rock was deafening. A section of the cave wall behind them collapsed, but more critically, ahead of them, a massive slab of rock and a torrent of earth slammed down, sealing the entrance with a final, definitive 1P. Darkness, absolute and suffocating, swallowed them, broken only by the shaky beams of their torches, now revealing a wall of impassable rubble where the way out had been. The air was thick with dust, making them cough. The silence after the cataclysm was profound, broken only by the drip of water and their own ragged breathing. They were trapped for a long time. They simply sat on the cold cave floor, backs against a smooth rock, conserving their light and energy. Shock gave way to a grim assessment. They had water from the stream, but no food. Their torches would last a few hours. The air seemed to be circulating from somewhere deeper in the cave system. So suffocation wasn't an immediate threat, but starvation or hypothermia was a very real one. "I'm sorry," Kai said finally, his voice hollow in the darkness. "This is my fault. My obsession dragged you into this." "I chose to come," Arya said firmly, though fear was a cold knot in her stomach. "We'll find a way. There must be another outlet." Caves like this often have multiple vents. They tried to sound hopeful for each other, but as hours bled into what felt like an eternity, the cold seeped into their bones, and the darkness became a physical pressure. To keep their spirits up, they talked. They talked of everything and nothing: childhood memories, favorite books, dreams deferred. The conversation turned inevitably back to the search. "What will you do?" Arya asked, her voice small in the vast dark. "If you never find your hidden flame?" Kai was silent for so long, she thought he hadn't heard. Then he sighed, a sound of profound weariness. "I've been asking myself that for years. I've chased whispers across 5 continents. I've held artifacts that hummed with forgotten power, deciphered codes that led to empty chambers. I told myself I was searching for knowledge, for truth, and I was. But..." He turned towards her, his face a pale smudge in the torchlight. "Arya, I wasn't just looking for treasure. I think I was searching for an end to the search itself, for a sign that it was time to stop wandering, for someone or something that would make the world feel not like a series of puzzles to be solved, but like a home. Like a place that was alive again, not just a repository of old stories." His words resonated in the deepest part of her soul. They echoed her own longing with such precision it brought tears to her eyes. He was describing the ache she poured into her paintings. "I understand," she whispered. "I paint because I'm trying to find the life in the stillness, but it's always just out of reach, on the other side of the canvas." "It's not out of reach," he said, his hand finding hers in the dark. His fingers were cold, but his grip was firm. "Arya, these past few days?" "With you. I haven't been thinking about legends or maps. I've been thinking about the way the light catches in your hair when you're concentrating, about the precise, beautiful way you see the world, about the peace I feel sitting by your fire, listening to you talk about moss and mist. You make this valley, this moment, feel more alive and real than any ancient wonder I've ever chased." Her heart was a wild drum against her ribs. The amulet, pressed between them, grew suddenly intensely warm, a heat that pulsed through her clothing. In the pitch black, a soft golden glow began to emanate from her chest. She gasped. Kai stared. What? Arya knew it was time. The secret had become a barrier, and in this tomb of stone, with death a possible companion, only truth mattered. With trembling fingers, she pulled the amulet from beneath her tunic. In the utter darkness of the cave, it was no longer a faintly glowing stone. It was a miniature sun, a captive star. The carnelian blazed, its inner fire swirling violently, and the silver vines of its setting seemed to writhe with reflected light. The warm golden radiance flooded the cavern, pushing back the oppressive blackness to reveal the glittering walls, the clear stream, the terrible wall of debris. And Kai's face etched with awe and dawning comprehension. The hidden flame. He breathed. "I found it in the weaver's cottage," Arya said, her voice steady now. "The night you arrived. When I touched it, a voice spoke in my mind. It said, 'The flame within you will guide the one who seeks it.' I didn't understand. I was afraid to show you." Kai didn't reach for it. He looked from the blazing amulet to her face, his eyes wide. "The flame within you," he repeated softly. Then he shook his head, a slow, wonder-filled smile spreading across his features. "Arya, don't you see? I've been seeking a thing, an object, a key, a compass, a flame. But the legend was a metaphor, or it was misunderstood. The one who seeks it was me, and the flame. It wasn't a magical fire in a cave. It was you, your passion, your spirit, the life in your eyes when you talk about your art, the warmth of your kindness when you took in a sodden stranger. You are the hidden flame." As he spoke the words, the amulet reacted. Its light intensified not in a flash, but in a deep, resonant pulse. The fiery swirl within the stone seemed to leap, and a beam of concentrated light, gold and rose and amber, shot from its heart. It didn't strike the wall of rock sealing them in. Instead, it lanced across the cavern to a section of the wall they had overlooked. Wall that appeared solid, but under the amulet's revelatory light showed the faintest hairline cracks, outlining a narrow, upward slanting passage. The beam held, illuminating the secret door like a divine spotlight. "A way out!" Arya gasped. Hand in hand, they approached. With a bit of effort, they pushed against the section of wall. With a groan of stone on stone, it pivoted inward, revealing a tight tunnel. The amulet's light dimmed to a gentle guide, just enough to show the path. They climbed for what felt like an hour, the tunnel ascending steadily. Sometimes as narrow cracks they had to squeeze through. Finally, they saw a pinprick of daylight, which grew into a ragged opening screened by ferns and roots. They tumbled out into the clean, cold, unbelievably sweet air of late afternoon. They were high on the opposite side of the ridge from the landslide, looking back over the valley. They collapsed on the soft grass, breathing in great, shuddering gulps, laughing and crying with relief. As their breathing slowed, Arya looked at the amulet. Its blaze had subsided. The fiery swirl within the carnelian was now still and dim, like embers after a great fire has died down. The warmth was gone, leaving only the cool touch of stone and metal. Its purpose, it seemed, was fulfilled. Kai turned to her, his face smudged with dirt, but his eyes clearer than she had ever seen them. He cupped her face in his hands. The treasure was never in the ground, Arya. It was walking beside me all along. I love you. And there, on the sun-drenched hillside with the whole rescued world spread out below them, he kissed her. It was not a kiss of stolen passion, but of discovery of a journey ended and a new, infinitely more wonderful one beginning. It tasted of cold cave air and wild hope, and a truth more solid than any mountain. When they finally pulled apart, Arya rested her forehead against his. I love you too, Kai. The seeker who finally saw the landslide had reshaped the valley's face, but it had also cleared the debris from in front of the original cave entrance. They made their way back to Arya's cottage as the stars began to prick the violet sky, moving with a new, unbreakable unity. The following weeks were a time of joyful rearrangement. Kai's search was over, but his spirit of adventure was not. Arya's longing for connection was fulfilled, but her art was more vital than ever. They talked for hours, planning not a life of static domesticity, but a shared journey. The world is full of hidden flames, Kai said one evening as they sorted through his maps and her sketches. Not magical amulets, but places of breathtaking beauty. People with incredible stories. Moments of pure, undiluted wonder. I've been to so many, but I was always observing, documenting, seeking the next clue. I want to experience them differently now. With you, Arya smiled, her heart full. And I want to paint more than just this valley. I want to paint the desert at dawn, the northern lights over ice, the bustle of a foreign market. I want to paint the world with you beside me. They decided to leave, on Wind's embrace, but not abandon it. It would always be their heart's home. The amulet, they decided, would stay in the valley. They placed it in a new, small casket and buried it near the weaver's cottage. Not as a forgotten secret, but as a fulfilled promise. Its magic returned to the earth that had inspired it. Their first journey was to the wind-swept cliffs of Cornwall, where Kai knew of sea caves that glowed with phosphorescent algae. Arya set up her easel on a cliff edge, battling the wind to capture the furious, white-capped sea, while Kai explored the caves below, bringing her sketches of the eerie blue light within. That night, in a cozy inn, salt in their hair and the smell of oil paint and sea spray on their skin, they knew they had found their rhythm. They traveled to Marrakesh, where the heat was a physical force and the colors were a shock to Arya's mist-trained eyes. She learned to paint with a new, vibrant palette, while Kai negotiated with local storytellers, recording tales of Jinn and desert, mirages that were more about human heart than magic. In the Norwegian fjords, she painted the profound, silent majesty of the cliffs. And he helped a local historian track the migration patterns of ancient Norse settlers. In a tiny village in the Japanese Alps, they spent a month with a master potter, Arya learning the discipline of form, Kai documenting the man's family history, which was intertwined with the clay of the local river. Their life became a tapestry of art and adventure. Arya's paintings evolved, gaining a new confidence and depth. They were no longer just beautiful observations. They were stories, infused with the emotion of shared experience, the wonder in Kai's eyes as he saw a new place, the quiet contentment of a shared meal after a long day's trek, the electric thrill of a discovery. She painted him often, his profile as he read by firelight, his hands tracing lines on an old map, his laughing face caught in a tropical rain shower. Kai, in turn, found a new purpose for his research skills. He began writing not dry academic papers, but lyrical travelogues that wove together history, legend, and the personal narrative of their journey. He wrote about the people they met, the food they ate, the small, perfect moments that made each place unique. His first book, The Cartography of Connection, was dedicated to Arya, My True North, and Hidden Flame. They faced challenges, of course. There were missed trains, bouts of illness in unfamiliar countries, creative blocks, and the occasional argument born of fatigue or stress. But the foundation they had built in the Valley of Mists forged, in danger and sealed in truth held firm. Every difficulty was faced together, and every resolution made them stronger. Years passed. They became something of a legend themselves in certain circles. The wandering artist and the storyteller, explorer, a pair whose love for each other was as evident as their love for the world. On their 5th anniversary, they returned to Onwin's embrace. Their cottage was just as they'd left it, though dustier. As they cleaned and lit a fire, the old, familiar peace settled over them, richer now for all the world they carried within. After dinner, Arya brought out a flat-wrapped package. For you. Kai unwrapped it to find a new painting dot. It was not of a distant land, but of their valley. It showed the view from the cottage at dawn, the mist rising like steam from a cauldron of forests. But in the foreground, standing on their ledge, were 2 small, clear figures seen from behind, a man and a woman, their hands clasped, looking out at the boundless, beautiful unknown together. She had painted them into her world. The painting was titled The Found Flame. Kai's eyes shimmered as he pulled her into his arms. It's perfect! The greatest treasure of all. That night, as they lay in their old bed, listening to the familiar silence of the valley, Arya thought of the amulet, dormant now in the earth. Its magic had not been in granting wishes or performing miracles. Its magic had been revelatory. It had held up a mirror to their own hearts, forcing them to see what was already there: the courage, the longing, the capacity for profound love. It had guided a seeker to his truth and a dreamer to her partner. True magic, they had learned, was not in artifacts or ancient powers. It was the spark of recognition between 2 souls. It was the courage to follow that spark into the unknown. It was the adventure of building a life side by side, painting your story across the canvas of the world. It came from within and was infinitely multiplied by finding the right person to share it with. And as the mists gathered once more in the forgotten, remembered valley, 2 hearts beat in sync. A quiet, steady flame burning bright against the vast and starry dark, charting a course for forever.